So, what is this nonsense these guys are trying to sell about fame to people? These dudes were not trying to give me fame. They're fucking delusional. They were trying to frame me. They were trying to train people to this technology, tell them it was infallible, train them to these truth systems with these neurophysiological cues, the telepathy, the mind output, saying it's infallible, training them to surveillance systems, saying they're infallible. And then what they were doing is not telling them all the hustles with the tech. Then they were taking advantage of them with the novelty of the tech, and then they weren't telling them how it could be manipulated. They were taking advantage of them with these surveillance systems and telling them it's infallible and acting like it could never be tampered with. So what they were doing is they were purposefully trying to course murder, crime, and even allowing for theft with manufactured evidence. They weren't trying to give me fame. I just figured out what they were doing and then started analyzing all these things and made the methods of analysis document. And then people actually started putting the pieces of the puzzle together because they realized they were relying on information and evidence they didn't even know how to authenticate. And they're just like, well, it's novel, so it's pretty cool, so it must be true. And they didn't even think, well, when is technology ever infallible? We've got repairmen. Technology's always breaking, and we always got to call someone up to fix it and correct it. So then people started putting together how much they lie and started figuring out what they were doing. But yeah, these guys weren't trying to murder me to give me fame. They were just trying to murder me. They weren't trying to manufacture evidence for a delusion or for a game or for a bet or for whatever Illuminati training or whatever other bullshit they make up. No, they were just orchestrating a frame and peddling slander so they could justify theft and crime. And they're also trying to orchestrate frames to get away with theft of large sums of money that were mine. So this wasn't about fame. These guys weren't trying to give me fame. They were trying to frame me and also try to murder me. And then people started waking up to the flaws in their system and started realizing these kids were terrorists and murdering innocent people with their investigation company and their infallible systems. And people started fucking snapping into reality and realizing what these guys were doing. So this methods of analysis document I was making about their frame squad tactics and all these different perception manufacturing tactics they were utilizing, and just even having parents be investigators who didn't even never studied a criminal justice class in their, never went to a criminal justice class in their life. They're letting parents, they had this whole flawed system where parents were investigators and kids with no training in computers, no training in investigations, nothing, running some investigation company where large sums of money were flowing through some gambling ring and God knows what else. And they're all relying on these parents who were making fake credentials, pretending they worked at Harvard, pretending to be experts, this and that, who would just lie to police and law enforcement and then show them some novel tech or bribe them. And then these guys were falling for this shit. But yeah, these guys were trying to frame and murder and slander. It wasn't a delusion. It wasn't a game. They're running a slander campaign too. But yeah, it wasn't a delusion. It wasn't a game. It wasn't a movie. It wasn't an experiment. It wasn't Illuminati training. These kids would just get caught trying to orchestrate frames, trying to murder innocent people, and slandering people with malice to course murder through like false claims of betting manipulation or talking shit to people through impersonation, all sorts of jazz. So don't fall for that bullshit. They were never trying to give me fame. They were trying to orchestrate a frame and also trying to course murder and crime on me because they purposely slander me to people armed with this implantation weaponry, these CNS manipulation devices, these radiation weapons, etc. So don't fall for bullshit. A lot of the ways they operate, like I was saying a few times now, and in my methods of analysis document, is they one of their favorite tactics is cultivating animosity through impersonation and misrepresentation. So they'll create a fake account of you and talk shit to people armed with weapons to try to course crime on you. They'll make up lies and say, "Oh, he told law enforcement this or that," when it was really them, to cultivate animosity or try to course crimes on you. When also some of these law enforcement guys are just looking up people's criminal background and then telling other people this and that. So that's another piece of it. So don't be an idiot. Um, Another piece of this is they're also using imaging hustles to impersonate people and then start talking shit to people, and then that's how they try to cultivate animosity. Or they'll or if you're implanted, they'll have someone sit at some telepathy booth, whatever the fuck that is, and then they'll just have people pretend to be your telepathy outputs, and then they'll just talk shit while pretending it's your telepathy. And those are some more of their animosity cultivation tactics. Another one is they'll just manufacture fake videos of you doing stuff that you're not. Like you'll be sitting in your room watching Netflix or something. And then they're making fake videos of you doing X, Y, Z, and showing it to people involved with whatever the fuck I'm a victim of. And that's another way they'll cultivate animosity. Or they'll show you some fake screen recording of someone's computer pretending you're typing jazz and you're really just like sitting, you're like kissing your dog or something and eating goddamn avocado salad. And and then they'll be showing people a fake screen recording of your computer screen, typing God knows what slander or shit talking or this or that, or playing this game they're always talking about when you've never even seen the game. And that's another one of their tactics. Um, Especially that Zorbin Bologna. Yeah, he loves that hustle. So never trust that guy. Or Tammy Blomorian. Yeah, he's a sneaky git. But yeah, so pay attention to that. Don't fall for their animosity cultivation tactics. Some of these kids will even impersonate law enforcement and pretend to be law enforcement, pretend to be investigators, show up places with their novel tech, and then just start peddling slander to your friends or your family. And that's one of their covert slander tactics is just impersonating law enforcement, maybe making some fake badge, showing up like they're an investigator or something, and then just making up shit to people to try to course negative thoughts about you or make you look like a criminal or God knows what they're doing. But that's one of their tactics. So they could potentially do that to like an employer, show up to an employer and pretend to be secret police or investigators or whatever the hell they're doing, and peddle this slander and show them the novel tech and try to recruit them to their secret society or their secret investigation company. And then your employer may not even tell you. And then these guys are feeding your employer fake evidence and this and that. And if your employer's not has poor analytical skills, he won't even question the technology because it's novel. And then he may think, oh, well, these guys got credibility. They've got novel tech, but they're really criminals and thugs. So don't be that guy. Don't be the fucking idiot who sees some guy with some novel tech and claims he works for so and so, or claims he works for like some politician, or claims he works for some rich guy, and you don't even try to validate it or verify it. And you don't call this guy and say, hey, this guy contacted me, says he works for you, or hey, CIA, this guy claims he works for the CIA and he contacted us. Does he? If they tell you, hey, don't call the CIA or don't call who they claim they work for, that may be a sign that they really don't work for them. So you should always check because they're doing hustles like that. So they try to find ways to up their credibility, saying, "Oh, I work for the president," or "I work for the CIA." And if you don't call them to check to see if they sent someone, you may think, and then they also show you this novel tech to up their credibility. You may fall for it. So anyone who shows up claiming to work for X, Y, or Z, contact whoever X, Y, or Z is, and make sure they send someone because they pull that hustle too. So that's another key tactic of their another key way they operate. Bet my life on it. It's 7:08 now. And these 7:08, July 28th. I have to do that because these kids actually steal my YouTube videos and pretend they're theirs. I'm a victim of large scale data theft and more. I'm Alexander Surya Jayani, born June 5th, 1984. But yeah, those are some of their tactics, that kind of stuff. But they're always looking for ways to up their credibility with this novel tech they show, so you don't question the tech and so you don't question them. So that's a key point. Praise Jesus.